what I'm going to do is explain to you folks just some of the basics but necessities in order to just start hiking in the Rocky Mountains. I'm going to be breaking it down in groups. I've got some of the equipment around me, so I'm just going to give you like 5 things that you're going to need to look for in order to go. I'm not telling you in any way, shape, or form to buy these particular brands, varieties, or anything of that sort. I'm just telling you what I have and why I have it. So we'll go from there. Alright, so I'm not going to do these in any particular order, although I will say that the first 5 items will be you need or you cannot go. The first will be a pack. Going to get a pack is strictly dependent on the type of hiking you're doing, how long you'll be hiking for, where you'll be hiking, what you'll be bringing, how much stuff you'll need, how many people you're carrying for if you've got children, and you'll be packing their food, for instance. You obviously will take all of this into consideration. There isn't a specific amount or size or anything of that variety that you need. I particularly was interested in checking this bag out when I was in the market, and that's the Osprey Atmos 65 AG, which stands for anti-gravity, and that has to do with the mesh system that they use against the back. Basically it helps air movement and flow, and also through the mesh in the waistband you don't get wet spots. Anyway, I'll get into that at a greater length later. Go into an outfitter that you can obviously trust and that you feel is good at what they do. They'll be able to at least put the time into actually getting you sized up. Do go get checked, do go get sized. It'll go far better for you than trying to size yourself and saying this is the one I want and just walking out. Most of them today can hold a water bladder. That to me is unbelievable. I think it's phenomenal that you have water on board that takes nothing but a bite valve to access now. Anyway, the pack is very important. You can obviously spend as much as you want, but I do recommend these 5 items be the ones that if you're going to put some savings toward, these be them. So go get yourself a good pack. That's a definite need. You need a good pack. It needs to fit you well and be comfortable. Spend a bit of money on it, you'll be a happy hiker. Obviously next would be shelter, a tent. I didn't go for lightweight, ultralight hiking equipment. That isn't that important to me. This one is fine. The Limelight 2-person Marmot, all inclusive. It has the fly, the footprint pegs, which I think I replaced anyway because you hit them once with a rock and they cave in on themselves. The poles I just keep on the outside of my bag, so that is how that works. There are lighter tent packages and there are better tent packages. I like the square footage of a 2-man tent. I have the vestibule as well as room beside me inside for a sleep pad and my bag tucked carefully towards the vestibule side as to not contact the outside to let moisture in. And so yeah, you can spend anywhere from $200 to $2,000 I guess on a tent, but that is up to you. However, a small nice package is good. You can go 1 man if you want. I don't find that very practical because of inclement weather or any other sort of possibilities. It gets dark early in the mountains, so you tend to have to turn in early, and if you're not ready to sleep, you want to at least be able to sit up and enjoy the evening doing a crossword or anything else. So look into a tent. So now you've got a bag to put your stuff in and you've got a tent to set up once you get to camp, but where are you going to sleep? So I'll start from the ground up. You've got basically the floor of your tent. You don't want to sleep on that, so nowadays you get a sleep pad first thing or a sleep mat. Again, that's somewhat of trial and error. At first I started with this Thermarest self-inflatable, which is what makes it completely awesome. I won't lie to you on that one. You basically fold this thing out in the tent, open the valve, and over the course of an hour it will self-inflate. It packs up quite small, but as you can see, it's fairly thin. When you're old like me, thin doesn't particularly work when you're sleeping on the ground. So I went with this Neo inflatable mat, unfortunately you have to inflate it with your lungs the entire way until I find a pump that works for this. But this one folds up and it packs up quite small, much like the size of about this in this bag here, as I will show. That's the sleep mat. Keep in mind, depending on your age, how comfortable you are sleeping on a little bit of air, or you need a little bit more air like I needed. The insulation on both of them were perfect. Keeping in mind, in Jasper, it gets down to about 5 degrees to 0 Celsius at nights. So you do need something to protect you from the ground. Once I purchased my Nemo, I realized that when I had it against the base of my tent, it squeaked and squeaked. Like every movement I made, it was like rubbing balloons together. It was unbelievable. So I, nor anybody within probably 50 yards of me, was getting any sleep. So I went out and I got this piece of fleece, I guess, and unfortunately it's not very heavy. Unfortunately it does take up some space, although putting that underneath the sleep mat makes all the difference in the world in terms of getting any sleep. I bring this Survive Outdoors Longer, SOL, Escape Bivy. I bring this along most times just in case anything gets damp, wet, or anything. No matter what, this thing keeps your body heat within, and it's basically just a glorified emergency blanket. But I do usually stuff this in the bottom of my pack. Next is your sleep bag. Are you going to use a sleeping bag, a mummy bag? You have to understand too, you got to remember compressibility is important when so you'll want to make sure that it packs up nice and tight, nice and small, yet it contains the warmth within. So what you're looking for is a good R value. You're looking for something that's going to keep you warm but be very thin. A lot of people think down is the way to go, and it may be. I believe that nowadays in synthetics that they're coming up with are probably equally as good as feathers. That's, again, for you to determine or to be the judge of. I'm just saying you need a sleeping bag. I'm kind of a side sleeper and I like to toss and turn. I don't just sleep on my back by any stretch. So I tried a mummy bag, this NanoWave Marmot 45. And not only was it not really sufficient in warmth for the mountains, but I can't sleep in a confined area of a mummy bag. I needed to find something else, so I got rid of the mummy bag and I stumbled across a quilt. And this in particular is the Jacks Are Better Sierra Sniveler quilt, and it's down. You can see their website in the links below. I recommend giving them a shot if you're looking for the most comfortable sleep system, in my opinion, you will ever come across. I will get into more of this later, but what I'm saying is it basically is a square quilt. It opens up as a quilt. Okay. So the base, what you do at the bottom of these is there's 2 drawstrings, and you can close it right up. And then there's Velcro is basically what it is, but it's some other material they call something else. It's their brand of tape, and it's ultimately Velcro. But you close the foot box with the Velcro. Then there's a snap at the top. As long as you're not really giving your feet a good tear apart. And again, you tighten this up so it snugs it. And if you're not comfortable with that, you can tie that around so it seals off any holes in the base. You put your feet in the base and the split goes down to the bottom. So then you've got basically a blanket that goes over you. and you have full movement and full range, and it fits nicely. And if it doesn't, you can buy straps, or you can clip these, which they come with little carabiners. You can clip that directly around your sleep pad, which can be underneath you the whole time. You could get straps, and it'll actually cinch right to it for the very cooler nights or potentially winter camping. I can't possibly stress how much more comfortable this was for me as a side sleeper and as somebody who tosses and turns a little bit. I cannot stress how much this helped me out in my sleeping. It was unbelievable. Try this. Pillow. I'm going to try this pillow. It's a Thermarest pillow, and it goes over. It can be cinched down a bit, or a lot, I'm guessing. And again, you can use a compression sack, and you can squeeze that down to probably half the size quite simply. If you put some weight on it, I would on this table, but it would probably collapse. So I'm going to try this pillow. Pillows are something that you may not even want, you may not need, you may not think. See, again, I'm the type that I don't mind carrying a bigger pack, slightly heavier pack, if I'm going to be comfortable when I'm out there. That's kind of what I'm going for. I used to have this this Sea Summit inflatable pillow. Really good pillow if you're a back sleeper, I suppose, or you can just get in one position and be done with it. Fantastic for that. Great, lightweight, packs up tiny, very good, very small, very lightweight. But again, for somebody who sleeps differently, you need something else, and that's what I've chosen to do, is go with something else. We've gone through a pack, a tent, and the sleep set. You need a sleeping bag, sleeping pad, and you don't even need a pillow. You can just throw stuff inside your t-shirt and sleep on it. I don't know, it's totally up to you. So now what we're going to talk about is footwear.